Morning. It's Sunday, May 7th, 2017. Once again, we have a beautiful Sunday morning, sitting between two low pressure systems, so we're in a high. Here in northern Illinois, clouds are well above 10,000 feet, winds are light, and there's a fly-in Rockford today. So we're headed to the airport. We'll get a pre-flighted half-hour flight, 35-minute flight. Up there, we'll eat some pancakes. I'll talk to y'all when I get everything hooked up and set up in the plane. Bye. Okay, good morning. We're pre-flighted. I've run through most of the ground portion of the checklist. We're just getting ready to call for taxi. Skies have clouded up a little bit, but they're up above 12,000 feet, so they're not going to bug us. We're going to climb to 3,500 today and just run to Rockford. All right, so let's go. Quad City ground, Comanche 6928 Papa.
Comanche 6928 Papa, Quad City ground, wind 1004, would you like runway 5?
Yeah, that'd be fine actually at 4.
Comanche 6928 Papa, roger, runway 5, taxi via Kilo.
Kilo to Kilo 1, hold short of 5, 6928 Papa. Alright, so we'll go with like a 1 knot tailwind. Everybody's around, let's go ahead and start our taxi. Alright. No planes, no cars. Oh, there's the Cardinal, so somebody else is going out. Alright, so we're going to go off 5, which is a real short taxi. Cylinder heads are good, oil temperature is good, pressures look good. Yeah, the wind isn't even blowing enough to move the windsock. Alright, clear both ways. We're going to come over this way. So we're going to have a slight, very slight, right to left crosswind. You're talking 4 knots, 4 miles, you know, it's nothing. It won't quite be 90 degrees anyway. So actually we won't even have a tailwind now that I think about that. We'll have just crosswind is all. Okay. Go up here and do our run up. Hold short of Kilo 1 and 5. Parking brake is set. Okay, brakes are set. Doors and windows closed and locked. Flight controls free and correct, and everything feels smooth. Flight instruments. Everything. 3, 2. Side of that. Okay. Good, looks good. Okay, all that looks good. Directional gyro, we'll double check. Mixture rich, throttle, 1500 RPM. There's 1500. Cycle it once. RPM drop. 2. Manifold pressure increase. 3. A little bit of wiggle there on the oil pressure needle. Perfect. Now we go to 2. Make sure we don't creep. Everything sounds good. check left mag. Looking good. Back to both. Right mag. Looking good. Back to both. Carb heat. Good. Oil pressure, amp meter, fuel pressure, suction. Everything looks good. Now we back it off back to 1,000. Okay. Pre-takeoff checklist. Circuit breakers. All in. Radio. Power 125.95 is the next frequency is set. Trim, final check. Primer is in and locked. Carb heat prop. Throttle, friction lock is loose. Mixture is full rich. Flaps set. Floor is clear. Pitot heat we're not going to need. Transponder is on. Alt fuel boost pump on. Landing and taxi on. Strobes on. Do the takeoff checklist. Compass to runway heading. Throttle. Engine gauges. Rotate at about 80 today. Climb out. Brakes. Gear. Flaps. You're not going to have down. And we pitch. For the tower, we're set.
Quad City Tower, Comanche 6928 Papa, Kilo 1 and 5, ready for takeoff.
Comanche 6928 Papa, Quad City Tower, proceed on course Rockford, runway 5, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 5 on course Rockford, 6928 Papa.
Wind 1005.
Thank you, ma'am.
No problem.
Forgot to turn on the
4,900.
this sound cancellation. It's like, God, it's awful loud today. All right. So right to left. Get her on the center line. Start feeding in the power. Little bit of crosswind correction. Airspeed is building. Fuel pressure, oil temperature, oil pressure. Cylinder heads look good. There's 65, there's 70, 75. There's 80, let's rotate. There's 85. There's 90. We're going to pitch for 105. Pitch for 105. Brakes. Gear coming up. We're out of runway. If we have an emergency, we would turn to the right and aim for the interstate. There's 100. Put a little piece of trim in. Desired course heading is 056. Slightly right. There's 105. Climbing good. Cylinder head, oil, everything looks good.
Comanche 28 Papa, contact departure. Good day.
28 Papa over departure, thank you, ma'am. Quad City departure, Comanche 6928 Papa, indicating 1,200 in the climb.
Comanche 6928 Papa, Quad City departure, radar contact, climb to VFR requested altitude, proceed on course Rockford.
On course Rockford, climbing to 3,500, 6928 Papa.
Okay, so let's go ahead. We're at a 1,500 feet per minute climb. We can go ahead and pitch down a little bit here, and we'll ease out of the RPM. Back to 2,500. And we're looking for 125 or so. And that's our on-course heading, so we'll get that dialed in. Put a little trim in for the climb. Take the pressure off the yoke. Cylinder head temperatures are still looking good. Power is set. There we go. 125 miles an hour. We're trimmed. We're in the climb. We're on course Rockford. And let's go ahead and turn off the fuel boost pump. Fuel pressure is still holding. And we're climbing to 3,500. And I can see the nuke plant, so that's a solid 70 miles visibility. Absolutely gorgeous. Once again,
19 approach.
not a bump.
I'll be heading back towards Iowa City for landing, and I can just go VFR whenever you want.
Trooper 19, roger, proceed as requested. We'll have you over to Cedar Rapids momentarily.
Trooper 19, roger, thanks.
We got a little haze off to the northwest.
Test.
Little haze off to the northwest. I don't see anything. We don't have anything on radar or anything like that. We're in a high pressure. It should be nothing. It's just the light filtering through these clouds would be my guess. And looks like in about 5 minutes we'll fly back into the sunshine. There's 3,200 going to 3,005. Winds are going to be out of the north today. Forecast called for 3,000 feet. It was like 15 or 20 knots out of the north. I don't remember. It wasn't much. And that makes sense because we're climbing into it here and it's pushing us to the right. So we're going to make a slight adjustment. Here's 3,400, 1,450, and we'll go ahead and start leveling off. Nose level to the horizon with where it's supposed to be. And we'll start dialing in a little trim as the speed builds. All right, so we're going to do 75% today, so we're talking 24.
Quad City's approach, Trooper 19.
Trooper 19
Oh,
approach.
the state's up.
Just got disregarded, heading back over to the same area.
Trooper 19, roger, thank you.
24, 23. All right. Watch our altitude here. We'll pitch the nose down a little bit. And since we're going to run 75% today, we're going to go 14 an hour is what we're looking for on the fuel flow. There's 14.
November 901-121, Quad City approach.
Okay, we got to do a carburetor temperature adjustment. So it looks like it's about 3 degrees. We're at 3,000 feet, should be at 9 Celsius. So we're just slightly below. It's less than 0.17.
901-121, squawk 0311, and verify altitude 3,000.
There we go.
Flying Quad City approach unanswered, say again.
Trooper 19, I'll be heading over right around the Cedar River area. 1,500, just a little bit, then I'll be coming back. They got an accident over there somewhere I'm looking for.
And Trooper 11, just approximately how much further west will that be? Correction 19, how much farther west will that be?
Trooper 19.
Trooper 19, right, stop by. How much further west?
Approximately 10 miles.
Trooper 19, roger.
We're looking for
traffic.
And Skyline 901-121, radar contact 5 miles north of
feet
Galesburg
below.
Airport, Quad City altimeter 3005. Safe first requested approach. Skyline 121, Quad City altimeter is 3005. Safe requested approach.
Alright, turn the autopilot on. Just across the river now, so he's a good mile away, 2 miles away, and 1,000 feet below, according
Skyline
to
121.
ADSB. Alright, autopilot's on.
Maintain VFR, vector RNAV runway 9 approach.
Where are en route to Rockford. All right, so he's going to pass behind us. And it looks like the sound is working. And it looks like the camera's working. Sweet. So we are en route. Let's do the rest of our checklist here. So throttle is set. 24, 23. We'll give her just
Okay, departure, Cardinal 33.
Mixture is set. Give her a little bit extra. Fuel boost pump is on. Fuel pressure looks good.
Climb maintain
Engine
4,000,
gauges.
leaving 2,100.
All
Turn
look
left on course, Moscow.
good. Heading indicator.
Climb and maintain 4,000. Turn left on course. After reaching 2,100, Cardinal 853.
It's tracking. Autopilot is set. All right. So our next stop is Rockford.
Skyline 121, turn left heading 330.
Their ATIS is 127.6. We'll get that in a bit. 055 is set. All right. Getting ready to fly back into the sunshine here. I have to turn on a little bit of heat. It's actually nippy up here. Crack the heat a little bit. Check what our true airspeed is. So we are about 2467
Skyline
Celsius
121, how will this approach terminate?
at 3,500. So I'm showing an airspeed of 100 at 75%, 68
Skyline 121,
true
roger.
airspeed at 3,500 feet, which is about normal actually.
Skyline 121, just to verify,
Giving
are
me
you
a ground
requesting
speed.
a full published mist or an
Only
alternate?
132 knots because we're cutting into a little bit of a headwind here.
Skyline 121, roger.
All right. Our in cruise. So, what shall we talk about on Comanche land or Comanche stuff today? Let's see. In the last video, we talked about
19, will you be heading any further eastbound after this?
landing speeds. That's right.
I'm just heading over there, right around the.
I've flown twice since that last video. I did
and then I'll be coming right back. So
two
if you need to hand me off,
IFR flights,
in about 5 minutes.
both with an
19,
instructor.
thank you.
The first one was a solid 1 hour, 10 minutes in the clouds. So that was, lowest ceiling I shot to was 600 foot above ground level, which still left me, plenty of room on the approach. On that approach, I was into Davenport, and it was solid IMC. So that was the first time I've done that low. I've done it to like 1,000 feet before, for the first time, and it was fun. The approaches were good. Instructor had a new instructor, which is good to change them up every now and again so that you get a fresh set of eyes looking at what you're doing. Said I was doing good. He had no problems. And then the second one was clear, and I had to have the visor on. We did 3 more approaches and holds. So I'm all set for the summer. Now, I will in 3 months go out and do 3 more approaches just because I don't fly an IFR enough. So, to stay reasonably proficient, I need the instructor with me just to make sure I'm doing stuff right. Because I might do 2 approaches every 6 months. I don't do 6. Anyway, let's see. Comanche stuff. Crosswind landings. I mentioned that in the last video. Let's talk about crosswind landings in a Comanche. Crosswinds, when I first started to fly, like a lot of pilots, were my nemesis. I did not like them. And when I learned, when I did my private pilots, I did it after work. I did all my lessons after work. And typically that in the summer, that 4 to 7, 8 o'clock when I take my lessons, well, the wind was nothing. So I spent a lot of hours in 5, 8 knots of wind and getting my private pilot. So I wasn't used to the winds. And it is something that you need to practice. That's all it is practice. Getting used to the control feel, the rudder feel. And each airplane is a little bit different. I learned in a 152, and 152...
6928 Papa, contact Rockford approach 126.0.
6928 Papa, over to 1260. Thank you, sir. Rockford approach, Comanche 6928 Papa, level 3,500.
Man did say 126.0. I've got 126.0 dialed in.
Rockford approach, Comanche 6928 Papa, level 3,500.
Okay, that is odd.
Mooney 05 Mike, traffic's currently indicating 3,300. Does that seem about right? Mooney 05 Mike, roger.
Rockford approach, Comanche 6928 Papa, level 3,500.
I'm on COM 1. Rockford approach, Comanche 6928 Papa, level 3,500.
Comanche 6928 Papa, Rockford approach, Rockford altimeter 3008. That's when you have information Yankee at Rockford.
08, and I'll let you know when I got Rockford. How much traffic at the fly-in breakfast? You guys pretty busy?
Comanche 28 Papa, we don't have the fly-in breakfast today. You're not the first aircraft to try and come here for it though.
Oh. All right, hold on. I might not be coming. Let me think. I'll hold level here at 3,000. Still headed towards you. 28 Papa.
All right, sounds good. Just let me know.
Well, fiddlesticks. Let's go to Bloomington. Rockford approach 6928 Papa, sir. I'm going to go ahead and head for Bloomington then for breakfast. Are you kidding me?
Is it Bravo Mike India or Bravo Mike Golf?
Bloomington, Illinois. Bravo Mike India, sir.
Comanche 28 Papa, roger, proceed on course.
28 Papa, proceeding on course. Thank you, sir.
November 4761 Alpha, contact Chicago Center on 133.95.
Okay, so our new on-course heading is 153. Boy, that changes things, doesn't it?
Experimental 9er Mike Whiskey, traffic 12 o'clock, 5 miles, altitude indicates 1,300, maneuvering around Cottonwood Airport. Experimental 9er Mike Whiskey, additional traffic, 12 o'clock, altitude indicates 1,200 is a helicopter, northwestbound.
Okay, 153. Actually, that should give us a nice little tailwind. Okay, changing plans. We are direct Bloomington. see, we want to remove that. I'm not going to go to Rockford. Remove that. I'm not going back to Moline right now. So, autopilot's on. All right, let's go ahead and switch fuel tanks. So, fuel boost pump on. Over to the right tank. Left tank off. Watching the fuel pressure, it's holding. Holding. Fuel boost pump off. Fuel pressure still holding. All right, awesome. So we used 5.5.
Niner Mike Whiskey, V-Fire altitude, your discretion, and radar service terminated. Squawk V-Fire, change to advisory frequency.
So we'll just call that 622. All right, not a big deal. We got to change around some stuff here, and we'll get back to BMI.
And Comanche 6928 Papa, squawk 4315.
28 Papa 4315. Okay, so we're going to BMI. And let's get our plates sorted here, because we're not going to need Rockford anymore, so we're going to edit. We're going to delete all this Rockford stuff. And we're going to do this. We'll do probably RNAV 11, and we'll do RNAV 2 in the binder just to have them, because of what wind there is. Okay, so we're set back up. And we're tracking. Okay, so crosswinds. Like I said, I had a very difficult time with crosswinds in the beginning. And I flew in a 152. 152s are pretty flighty. They got the same wing as a 172, only they weigh a lot less, which makes them, you know, they ride turbulence worse. They're a little bit more twitchy than a 172. So when I transitioned into the 172, I learned in the 152 a little bit in the 172, but learned in the 152, transitioned into the 172, and was flying in the club at the time. And literally, I would only fly on perfect days because I was nervous in crosswinds. And I went up in a 15-knot direct crosswind, and I steeled myself, and I know the control inputs, I know what I got to do, but I was just uncomfortable. And I went up, and I made myself do it, and I did 3 takeoffs and landings, and I was sweating so bad, you know, I was in a Club 172, that was pretty much it, you know. So then I'd only fly in the morning when the winds were light, or in the late afternoon when the winds were light. And only on nice days, of course, because I was VFR at the time.
Comanche 28 Papa, contact Chicago Center on 123.75.
28 Papa over to Chicago Center, 12375. Thank you, sir. Chicago Center, Comanche 6928 Papa, level 3,500.
Comanche 6928 Papa, you're still in Rockford approach.
Roger, sorry, sir. At least I know that number 1 radio is working now. Chicago Center, Comanche 6928 Papa, level 3,500.
November 6928 Papa, Chicago Center, hello, the fuel altimeter 30.
Sir, what was the altimeter you cut off?
3005.
05, thank you, sir. So, well, anyway, so I went up and did these 3, and I logged it, and I said strong, you know, 15 knots, and that was just flat out uncomfortable. Well, then, you know, you fly that way I flew that way for a year, and I would scrub flights because of wind. You know, living in the Midwest, wind is part of life. And I then finally got so frustrated with it that I went back to my instructor, Diane, who's my instructor, and we went up on a windy day. It was blowing 20, 24 knots, and we did into the wind, and because I wouldn't fly, I literally would not fly if it was above 15 knots back then. So first we did into the wind in a 172, and then we started doing crosswinds. And I'm lucky Moline has got runways going every direction. So you can always get a crosswind runway. And bent this a little bit. It's getting warm in here now. That's sun. And so that flight opened my eyes. That the 172, and at that time I'd owned a 172, I'd bought a 172, was really a very good crosswind airplane in comparison to 152. Even though they look the same, 172 is bigger, heavier, and weight makes a big difference when you're dealing with crosswinds. So, for all the prospective pilots out there,
2509, you clear direct Decatur.
if you're afraid of the wind,
Thanks, direct Decatur, we're 2509.
the only thing I can really recommend that you do is get there with an instructor on a windy day. And you practice it and practice it and practice it. And what you'll start to develop is you'll develop a feel in your hands and your feet. And it's pressure. How much pressure am I putting in to keep the wing, against? And then it's always everybody says, well, how much crosswind correction should I use? Because you're flying. When you do a crosswind, you'll crab into the wind approaching the runway. At least this is how I do it. So I'm crabbed into the wind approaching the runway. On very short final, I'll bring the nose and tip the wing. So if I got a right to left crosswind, you'll slew the nose down the runway because you'll be crabbing into the wind. And you'll point the nose down the runway, and then you'll dip the upwind wing into the wind. And that cancels. Basically, you're turning into the crosswind. That's what it is. Only you're not a coordinated turn. You're an uncoordinated turn because you're keeping the rudder. With the rudder, you're pointing the nose down the center line of the runway. And then you're just doing adjustments. And that's the hard thing to get used to. You're used to flying with your feet like this. And when you're crosswind now, your feet are like this, and you're doing one of these numbers. You're adjusting that rudder pedal. At the same time, you're adjusting the aileron as necessary to compensate for the wind. So anyway, I went up that day, and that got me into the 20s. Then I felt I got confident, and I could utilize the plane more, could fly more places, didn't have to worry about the wind. And then last year, I got comfortable in the 30s. There was a Comanche seminar in Rockford, where actually the place we were headed, put on by Heritage Aero, the Comanche Society, they put on 4 or 5 times a year across the country. They put on these training seminars. They're a full 2 days, and I mean it's a full 2 days. On a Saturday, Sunday. So I flew up on Friday, spent the night, got up Saturday morning, the entire day was classroom. And they go through just a ton of information on systems. Actually there's some psychology things on what pilots do, trying to avoid stupid pilot tricks. I don't know if a lot of people have heard that, but things like that. I'm watching for traffic here. We do have a target 800 feet below us, but he's probably 8 miles out, so we'll keep an eye out for him. But anyway, so it's a full 2 days. The second day, you fly with a Comanche instructor. So these are guys that know Comanches. All of them are older dudes, that have thousands of hours in twin Comanches, regular Comanches. And they know a lot of the tricks and tips and stuff like that. So the guy I was with is actually a farmer over by Kankakee, owns a twin Comanche. And it was 30 gusting 35, and I was nervous. That's quite a bit of wind for a light aircraft. I mean, you can go, Dick Collins, I've seen him talk about 50 knots, and I mean, 30 was pretty good. So I can imagine, another 15, 20 knots on top of that. So he went up with me, and same thing. He was nice and took me to
3302 Chicago Center, clear direct Shane, descend via the Shane 1
to Sterling Rock Falls, which had a very short runway, but it was right into the wind, like 20 300 feet or something like that, but it was right in the wind, and when you got 30 knots of wind right down the runway, well, you can land pretty short, you know. And then we went back to Rockford, runway 25, wind was, if I remember right, it was 310 at 30 gusting 35 or 28 gusting 35 or something like that. So it was a full crosswind. I mean, it was, and in a Comanche, it was now, do I recommend a 100-hour guy do that? No. But in this plane, I had fuel on board. You know, I was not heavy, but I was probably 2,700 pounds, somewhere in there, 2,600 pounds. It was a non-event. It was really, honestly, a non-event. I carried a little extra airspeed to make sure I had a little extra rudder authority. I did have that. It was a right to left crosswind. I had that wing down pretty good, and I was working it in. And some guys will put a crosswind correction in early while they're up high. And I'm not that. I don't do a crab and kick method where I'm low, you know, short final or I'm over the runway and I kick. I do it short final so I can get some kind of feel of what I'm dealing with. But I don't like holding it in there for a long time because then you start second guessing yourself. And
November 28 Papa, change to my frequency 124.55.
28 Papa over to 12455, will do.
876 Tango uniform contact Chicago Center 132.5.
Chicago Center 6928 Papa made the switch.
November 6928 Papa, Chicago Center, roger.
So, and then that's when I really woke up and I started to get comfortable with the plane. And each plane is different, I will admit that. When I transitioned from the 172 into this with my instructor, and that's a good reason to have an instructor on board, the control pressures feel different. It went from a high wing to a low wing. And I think the 172, you feel a crosswind. The crosswind you feel a crosswind more because when you have those flaps down even a little bit, they make a pocket against the fuselage. So your flap is down, the fuselage wall is like this. And I think that gives a little bit more feeling, so you can feel the wind a little bit more than you can in this. Because when my flaps go down, there's nothing, you know, the wind can rush around them. And maybe that's just me. I'm just telling you what I feel. I don't know if that's the case. It's just what I felt. So on my first crosswind landing in this was a decent. It was 20 knots or so. Of course, that wasn't all cross. It was maybe 15 cross. I was sawing on it, because I couldn't. It didn't feel the same. And a lot of flying is feel. You know what your head, what your ears, what your hands, what your feet are telling you. Of course, what your eyes are telling you. And that's one of the things that instrument pilots, they got to unlearn is, it doesn't matter what your hands, feet, eyes, ears, well, ears are still matter for speed, but it doesn't matter what your body's telling you. This is all that matters, and that's something, so you learn it, then you have to unlearn it, or learn to ignore it, I guess would be the more appropriate thing when you learn in instruments, where you're just focused on the panel, you know, until you break out and you can see the runway. We're doing 162 knots, man. We got a heck of a nice ground speed. Still doing 168 miles an hour through the air, but that's putting us down at a nice ground speed. Of course, I'm going to have to fight back through it to go back to Moline, so give and take, I guess. Anyway, so that's my Comanche thing today. Great crosswind airplane. Manual says 17 knots, and I think that's more on what a young pilot could do. In reality, I'm not sure. I haven't been to the limit where I've run out of rudder authority. I can tell you 30 knots is not, you're not out of rudder. I think I was close, but I wasn't there. And I didn't cheat the runway or anything. You know, you can cheat the runway a little bit or get down closer into ground effect before you start adding that rudder. And the winds as you get closer to the ground, you know, are typically less. Anyway. So that's me babbling once again. getting ready to pass over the Illinois River here. And I'll cut a lot of this out, the rest of this, because now I'm just going to sit here and look for traffic and enjoy the scenery.
Tower 6928 Papa, Chicago, radar services terminated. Squawk 1200 and frequency change approved. You can try Peoria approach on frequency 128.72.
6928 Papa, squawking VFR over to 12872. Thanks, sir. Peoria approach, Comanche 6928 Papa, level 3,500. I'm about 20 miles northeast of the field en route to Bloomington if I can get some flight following.
Comanche 6928 Papa, Peoria approach, squawk 0417.
0417, 28 Papa.
All right, folks, we're about 7 minutes out, so we should be getting turned over from Peoria into the tower real quick. Wind is 070 at 6 knots, so it's really no wind. We'll probably get runway 11. I think I have the airport in sight. Yeah, we're 6 minutes out, 17 miles. A little bit longer than that, maybe, because I'll slow down. We should be getting turned over here soon. I can see the airport straight ahead of us. You guys might be able to see it. It's the only light spot about halfway up the horizon.
Peoria approach, 6928 Papa has Bloomington in sight.
Aerostar 68980, Peoria departure, radar contact, climb maintain 10,000, proceed direct Davenport. Comanche 28 Papa, roger, radar service terminated, squawk VFR, frequency change approved.
VFR over to Bloomington, thanks, sir. Bloomington Tower, Comanche 6928 Papa, 13 miles to the northwest, 3,500 inbound with X-ray.
Comanche 6928 Papa, understand northwest, report a 2 mile left base runway 11.
2 mile left base, 1128 Papa.
Okay, so next time we're going to report it a little bit early. So let's go ahead. We're going to start our descent. Turn the autopilot off, pull a little bit of power. We don't want to build up too much airspeed. It's a little bit bumpy. 2 mile left base for 11. Remember, the ground speed is quite a bit higher, 160 knots. Okay, so pre-landing checklist. ATIS we got, approach plate we don't have to worry about. GPS is don't have to worry about. Comm radios are set, altimeter is set, heading indicator is set. Approach timer and the fuel is on the before landing checklist. Seatbelt, shoulder harness, emergency gear is clear. Carb heat, and we'll get the gumps on final. Alright, pattern altitude. Oops, this type. Pattern altitude 1,600 feet. We're at 2,500. Richen it up a little bit. A little bit more power. Being 1,600 feet is pattern altitude. I have the runway in sight. Bit more power, feed in a little bit of RPM.
Bloomington Tower, Comanche 6928 Papa, 2 mile left base for 11.
Comanche 28 Papa, not in sight. Runway 11, clear to land.
28 Papa, I might be 6 from the airport, sir, but I'm 2 miles from turning base, or turning final. 6928 Papa, clear to land.
Okay. There's the runway. He'll catch us as soon as we start getting slowed down so we can get the legs down here. Okay, we're going to have slight left to right.
Comanche 28 Papa in sight.
Roger, 28 Papa, thank you, sir.
All right. Overshot that turn a little bit. Ground speed, pretty decent. All right, we're within gear speed. Landing gear coming down. Mixture going full rich. Landing gear is down. Bleed off the last little bit of speed here. Put the propeller in. And we'll start working some flaps as soon as we can get her down to 100 miles an hour. All right, gas, undercarriage, mixture, prop. Speed is good. Go with our first notch. A little bit more speed here, a little bit less speed. I got to slow the sink down and right on glide slope. I'm a little bit fast. There's an updraft because we're going over a, I think is a mall or a downtown-ish area. Second notch going in. Gas, undercarriage, mixture, prop, speed. All right. Now we are short final. We're over the airport fence. Final notch of flaps. Landing speed today is 76 miles an hour. Twist here of trim. Control the sink. Right on it. There's 80 miles an hour. Still sinking a little bit. Adjustment here. Okay, pull power. Oh, we're going to float a little bit, huh? And get the nose up. There she is. A little bit of a last minute float. There's what we want to turn off on, but we'll...
Cherokee 28 Papa, make a 180 on the runway. Where are you parking?
We're going to CJ's for breakfast, sir. There was a breakfast, supposed to be a breakfast in Rockford, but it wasn't there.
Cherokee 28 Papa, sorry to hear that. Turn to Delta, straight ahead from there is CJ's, monitor ground point 65.
180 on the runway, right on Delta into CJ's, monitor ground, 6928 Papa.
All right, same as last time. All right, so we're turned 180, fuel boost pump off, flaps are up. Lean for taxi. Aggressively. And there's Delta, so we'll hustle on down here. Strobes off. We're monitoring ground. Okay, right on Delta. Landing and taxi off. Taxiway is clear. All right. So we're a little bit behind schedule. We'll eat a quick breakfast and then we'll head back. I think I'll get biscuits and gravy today. That sounds good. Nice Cherokee or Archer's parked right there. Park next to him. The Piper guys can talk to each other. Okay, parking brake set after landing checklist. Flaps are up, carb heat. Sure is lean. Pitot, we did all that. Shut down throttle to idle, which it is. Radio 121.5. Good there, electrical equipment off. We'll see you guys later. And that's it. Let's go eat.